Desolation has never looked as good as it does in Metro Last Light. This is a sequel to Metro 2033, which is a game by a Ukrainian developer based on a Russian novel. This is the sequel, just came out, and I think they've taken their game to the next level. I think there's a lot of polish in this game, and I think it looks fabulous and plays really great.
You're playing again as Artyom, the guy who maybe saved post-apocalyptic Moscow by launching a missile strike on these creatures called the Dark Ones, who were getting inside people's heads and were seen as this malevolent alien enemy. Well, we're never really sure if they were bad or not, and Last Light picks up with one of the Dark Ones surviving. Artyom has gone out to hunt this thing, and you spend a lot of the game basically trying to track this thing, and you go back down into the Metro system, again with its factions. You've got the Reds, you've got the Nazis, you've got all these different societies spread out through the remnants of the Moscow subway system. And again, this is one of the most atmospheric first-person shooters that we've ever seen. It's just so loaded with detail and conversations going on in the background that have all these little chunks of backstory. It's just so well thought out.
I actually really love the characters, and it's one of these things where no one's really one note.
Artyom, it's your last chance for forgiveness, for getting rid of the nightmare.
There are a couple points in the game where you can choose to kill somebody or let them survive, and that's one of those, it's sort of a karma system where there are sort of two endings to this. There's a good and a bad ending. It's funny, this game has so many well thought out things. The whole bullet, this currency thing is still here, whether you use high power bullets or save them to buy stuff later. When you think about some post-apocalyptic games, everything's always so gray and dark, and that is here as well, but it just looks really cool.
Yeah, and somehow you're in the dank tunnels of the Moscow subway system, and yet it's a colorful world. The lighting is really cool. You and I played it on the PC, so we had the advantage of the
amazing
hardware that we're using on the PC, but I mean, just the lighting effects, the dust effects are all really cool. And the game's got a really kind of interesting, varied pace. You'll go from sequences that are straight out shooter, usually where you're fighting monsters, and again, the monsters are just these horrible werewolf type creatures and these flying demons and these slugs that lunge out of the water. A lot of thought has gone into the design of the creatures, and they're all super creepy and really kind of difficult and fun to battle. So you've got these straightforward shooting segments where you're battling a variety of creatures, sometimes in the tunnel, sometimes on the surface. You've got stealth segments where you're often invading an enemy metro station and you got to be really quiet. It's almost Splinter Cell. You can shoot out lights, sneak up on guys, shank them or knock them out. And you've got segments where you're basically just walking around the towns, like the Venice station, which is built around these flooded canals, and there's these whole society and economies going on. And then sometimes you're on the surface where you've got to pay constant attention to the filter in your gas mask. The creatures are way more plentiful and way scarier. The environments are beautiful, and yet you can't remain out in them too long or you'll die. It's just this really interesting beats in this game, and they always seem to cycle through and keep it fresh.
This is a fabulous game. This is also a little bit fitting reviewing a game called Last Light, because I have to make a personal tribute right here. This is the last review we are shooting with our cameraman and producer, Darcy Federchuk. Love you, man. I'm gonna miss you a lot.
Come along, Rabbit.
I can't recommend Metro Last Light enough. I'm gonna give Metro Last Light a 9 out of 10.
I think there are a couple of small things, but this is an absolutely fabulous game. 8.5.